a beginner mistake I find is like a beginner will have a property here, like Innisfil, and then like Oshawa, and then like Peterborough, and then like
Spread
London,
out.
like
Yeah.
you know.
No, you
Yeah.
you nailed it. So
We've consolidated, actually, even within the city of Guelph. All of our houses are within like 10 minutes of each other. Like they are all in this little neighborhood
Yeah.
that it's the same thing. We have washed, rinsed, and repeated the same
Yeah.
strategy over and over, and it has been so profitable. But we moved to London when we entered into the multi-residential game.
Yeah,
and
so-
it's because the numbers, really.
Was that explain the numbers? Is that type of investment not available in Guelph?
Yeah,
Is
so-
there no buildings that size? Like why
There are, but people hold on to them. And then, for example, there's a sixplex for sale in Guelph right now that's been for sale for over a year, and it was
It's
listed.
priced right then.
It was listed.
They might think so.
It was listed for 1.95, and that was at the peak of the hot market. Back in January of last year, and at that time. I ran the numbers on it and I was like, wow, this is like $500,000 overpriced. And here we are a year later, it's still listed. They've dropped the price by 50,000, and it's, so we're like talking 400 days on market at this point. So it's largely because of a shortage of inventory. People in Guelph don't like to let go of properties.
It's a smaller
so
city. London is
understandably, if I had one in Guelph, I wouldn't be selling it, a multifamily that is.
They're pricing it as if it's the after reno price, but
So this is the other
so
thing.
the numbers just don't make sense.
Yeah,
Like by
and
the time you renovate it and get the rents up, well, you have to make money on the buy. If you purchased it for way too high of a price, then it just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work out.
We've just found London is a lot more opportunity there, and not just London, by the way. There's a few other big cities like Hamilton, for example, that I think are very comparable to London with their pricing and their opportunity. One of the things I like about Hamilton is they're very friendly for development, rezoning. They're really trying to promote the idea of building up. So you can take a lot of the older buildings in the downtown area are more or less, I don't want to say pre-approved, but would be easily approved to have them totally demolished and put up like a fiveplex. Some of my students are doing the exact same thing, and that's kind of become their focus, is to redevelop downtown properties in Hamilton into larger units.
Do you realize you're speaking to Mr. Hamilton himself?
Actually, I didn't realize that.
Right here.
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. For context, I'm friends with the head of the economic development department, and I remember she was telling me that she poached one of the head people at city planning at Burlington, because if you're in Burlington, I think you guys know you can't get anything done.
Right.
You're actually like a place where developers go to die.
Yeah.
Right. So she was able to poach that person, and then in a short period of time, he got like 10 developments approved.
Right.
And that's what planners want.
Yeah.
They want to see progress towards housing affordability, urbanization. That's what they want. It's what they went to school for.
Yeah. Now it sounds like that's about to change province-wide with, what is it, Bill 23? Is that what it's? Yeah. So it seems like they're going to be kind of streamlining the process. I'm still interested to see how that actually plays out, but
it is government.
Yeah, right. And there's still going to be an approval process, right? So somebody still has to make the final decision. So it's not necessarily just a green light on everything. But yeah, anyways, back to like the London discussion. There's just way more inventory. There's a lot of underperforming properties there. There's a lot of properties that are poorly managed, and probably it seems to me, I mean, I'm guessing, but it seems like the owners either inherited the property or they've just owned it for so darn long, like 20 or 30 years.
That they basically let it rot.
Yeah, and they're kind of ready to retire. Like several of the properties we bought there, the person selling it was like in their mid to late 70s, right? So, either, they're
not taking care of it at that point.
Yeah.
So, we've come in, but there's a lot of reasons to invest in London. I believe it's the 10th largest city in Canada, which is huge. Their population is very large. And the immigration that is coming into London is massive as well, that when people are moving, you going to correct me?
No,
Okay.
go ahead. I'm listening.
So when people are moving to London, there truly is the housing crisis is real everywhere, but in a large city like that, it's exaggerated, right? So why that's beneficial to investors is your vacancy rate and your choice of tenant, your tenant selection is improved, the quality of tenant that you can choose because their options are fewer, right? So London overall is a very robust city from an employment standpoint as well. Our properties are very close to the Victoria Hospital, so you get healthcare workers. The education field is really big in London as well, not to mention the tech industry. So these are kind of the main tenant employment profile that we're able to select from. So it's very robust. It's a good city. It's a big city. It's a growing city. And there's investment opportunities there for sure. And it's, in our opinion, currently the best city to invest in right now.
It's going to be our focus for the next little while.
And we're setting up shop there too. So, back to what you were saying, Erwin, we don't want to be spread out too thin. I don't want to own in 10 different cities right now. So there's a lot to be said about setting up shop, really get to know your market, build your team of people there as well. Like, we're doing very large scale renovations. So I don't want 15 carpenters on my roster. I want to know who is my go-to, who is my great electrician in this area. And, there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained about buttoning down your business and just running it really, really well rather than being spread out too far.
Yeah, that's to your point, Erwin. That's another thing that I would say to anybody starting out. It's what I tell my students as well is become an expert in your market, right? Like there's so much to learn about landlording and renovations, and just there's a lot to learn on a single property, right? If you're gonna get into real estate. The list is long that you have to learn just on one property. It would be great to kind of automatically learn about that neighborhood rather than every time you're buying a new property, you now have to become an expert on a new city, a new area. Become an expert in one spot while you're learning the operations, the landlording, the property management, all of that sort of stuff. And try not to jump around. Now, obviously, that's not always an option. Some people, a lot of, Ontario's expensive. So, I do see a lot of people that can't afford to buy here, but want to get into some sort of investments. Like Alberta's a great spot, or the East Coast. There's more entry level properties. Please focus.
Don't buy one in New Brunswick. Don't buy one in Alberta.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell people even that maybe look at pick two or three cities to look at, and then make a selection, and wherever that is, now that should become your area of expertise. Just repeat that strategy for years over, as long as you can.
Yeah. And I've heard people say like, oh yeah, Ontario is very expensive, so I want to go somewhere else that is cheaper. And Marty and I say this often is, I don't want to own cheap real estate. I want to own the best and the most profitable real estate. So it isn't just about buying at the lowest point possible. I don't want that real estate in those smaller markets. Otherwise, you're not going to get the return on your investment. It's all about the ROI.